Do you think in the future prices will go up or down? Do you think there will be more resources or fewer? Do you think the future will be better for people or for the elites? It takes 20 years to prepare for the next phase of a cycle, and the decline has begun in everything: food scarcity, energy scarcity, metal scarcity, oil, and even water scarcity. So, prepare yourself and your loved ones, because winter is coming. This is Google Podcasters judging my membership video on, well, you already know the title. In this video, the podcasters will dissect and judge my video from the form to the core of the message. Just remember this: if you're struggling to keep up with rising costs and dwindling resources, you're not alone. The elites are tightening the noose, and it's time to fight back by making every minute, action, and dollar count. This isn't just about surviving. It's about thriving in a world designed to keep us down. The goal of this podcast: to review, judge, and give you a glimpse of what I prepare for my special members. My intentions are to help you take control of your life, optimize your daily habits, and prepare for the scarcity that's coming. You'll learn the hard truths about why efficiency isn't just a choice, it's a necessity. Stay until the end. You will like it. Ready to turn chaos into control? Let's get started.
The battlefield is your wallet.
Yeah.
The elites are watching your every move. Screw your gas-guzzling monster of a car. Okay, I mean, wow, you really weren't kidding about this manifesto being intense. It's kind of like, I don't know, something out of a dystopian thriller. But I have to say, within all the fiery rhetoric, I'm sensing some, potential nuggets of wisdom we can unpack.
Yeah, no, you're right. There's a lot to unpack here. We've got a call to action urging us to, embrace a Spartan lifestyle.
Right.
In a world that, the source seems to believe is on the brink of, total collapse.
Yeah.
And I think this is important, even if we don't necessarily buy into the whole, the doomsdays scenarios. There are, I think, some really interesting ideas here about, intentional living and taking control of your life.
That's what I'm hoping we can kind of dig into today.
Yeah.
Because I think it's one thing to just say, screw the system.
Right.
But it's another thing entirely to figure out what that actually looks like in our day-to-day lives. And honestly, I'm not sure I'm ready to, ditch my car just yet.
I hear you. It's easy to kind of get swept up in the rhetoric.
Yeah.
But I think the real challenge is figuring out what resonates with us personally and what we can realistically implement in our own lives.
Right.
So let's maybe, dive into the source's vision for a what they call Spartan life and see if we can kind of, separate the insightful from the, shall we say, overly enthusiastic.
Sounds good to me. So speaking of overly enthusiastic, this source seems awfully preoccupied with these elites. They keep mentioning them, but who exactly are they talking about? Some secret society pulling the strings.
Well, that's the interesting part. The source never explicitly defines it.
Oh.
It's more of a catch-all term for any powerful entity that, benefits from the status quo.
Okay.
It could be governments, corporations, wealthy individuals. Mm-hmm. Basically, anyone they perceive as being in control.
Okay, so a bit of a vague boogeyman then.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, even if you don't necessarily buy into, the conspiracy theories,
right,
there's a psychological aspect here I think that's worth noting.
Okay.
I mean, we've all felt powerless at times against large systems.
Oh, for sure.
Frustrated by bureaucracy or our voices aren't being heard.
Right.
And this idea of, shadowy elites kind of taps into that feeling. It provides a target in a way for those frustrations.
It's definitely relatable, that sense of feeling like a small cog in a very big and often, confusing machine.
Right.
But this source's answer isn't to kind of work within the system.
Yeah.
It's to break free entirely and become modern day Spartans.
Right. And that's where things get, I think, really interesting, because it becomes less about doom and gloom and more about taking action.
Okay.
It's about, resilience. It's about self-sufficiency and living in accordance with your values.
Okay.
Even when those values clash with, mainstream society.
So less about holing up in a bunker
Right.
and more about intentional living.
Exactly.
Even if you don't agree with the source's, more extreme views.
Exactly. It's about asking yourself, what aspects of my life can I actually control?
Right.
What choices can I make that really align with my values? And the source identifies, I think it's four key areas where we can, as they put it, starting up.
What's up?
Tech, internet use, transportation, and tools.
That's right. They even call it the Spartan Starter Pack. And let me tell you, they are not fans of my iPhone. Apparently owning the latest gadgets makes me a consumer. Their words, not mine.
Harsh. But I think I see where they're coming from.
Okay.
It's about, I think, rejecting that constant pressure to upgrade, to consume, to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's about, owning less, consuming less, and being more mindful of where your money is going.
Okay, I can get on board with that. So let's start with the first area of the Spartan Starter Pack tech. The source basically says, ditch the expensive gadgets. They don't bring you true happiness. And honestly, part of me agrees.
Yeah.
But then again, I do love my streaming services.
Well, it's all about finding that balance, right? It's not about swearing off technology entirely, but rather examining, I think, our relationship with it.
Okay.
Are our devices tools that serve us, or are we constantly at their mercy?
Yeah.
Just distracted by notifications, addicted to upgrade.
I know I've fallen into that trap before.
Oh, yeah.
The endless cycle of upgrading to the latest model,
Right.
even when my old phone works perfectly fine.
It's easy to get caught up in. So instead of just tossing our phones into the ocean, which, by the way, is terrible for the environment,
Yeah.
how can we apply this Spartan mindset
Right.
to our tech use in a more, realistic way?
I'm all ears. Because I'll admit, the idea of simplifying my kind of digital life is appealing.
It's about, I think, awareness and conscious choice.
Okay.
So next time you're tempted by that, shiny new gadget, take a step back.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, how much will this genuinely improve my life? Is there a more affordable option that would, meet my needs just as well?
So it's about aligning our spending with our values. Because let's be honest, how much do we spend on tech upgrades versus, say, experiences that bring us, lasting joy?
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about investing in things that truly matter to you, whether that's, travel, relationships, personal growth, or even just having the financial freedom to pursue your passions.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, we've covered, kind of, the physical tech, but this source seems particularly concerned with how we spend our time online. They call the internet a battlefield, which, I gotta say, sounds a tad dramatic. What's your take on that?
It does sound a bit intense, doesn't it? But I think what they're getting at, albeit in a rather, over-the-top way, is the importance of mindful internet use.
Yeah.
It's something we all struggle with, right?
Oh, yeah.
The constant distractions, the fear of missing out, the sheer volume of information coming at us. It can feel like a battle
Right.
just to stay focused.
Totally. I've lost track of how many times I've gone down, in an internet rabbit hole, only to emerge, hours later wondering where the time went. And what did I accomplish? Probably just liked a bunch of cat memes.
Which, let's be honest, isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I think the larger point the source is making is that our time and our attention, those are valuable resources.
Yeah.
And we can choose to spend them on things that are truly meaningful to us. Or we can, let them be hijacked by algorithms and endless scrolling.
So it's not about ditching the internet entirely, which, let's be real, is pretty much impossible these days.
Right.
But rather just being more intentional about how and why we use it.
Exactly. Think of it less like a battlefield and more like a tool.
Okay.
It can be incredibly powerful, right? For learning, connecting, building communities, accessing information. The possibilities are kind of endless.
Right.
But like any tool, it can also be misused.
Makes sense. It's about finding that sweet spot between utilizing the internet's incredible potential and not letting it suck us into a vortex of distraction.
Right. And it's about recognizing the very real costs associated with excessive internet use.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of time, but also in terms of our, mental health, our relationships, our sleep.
Okay, I'm starting to see where the source's battlefield analogy comes from.
Yeah.
It's not about fearing technology. It's about being aware of its potential downsides.
Right.
And setting healthy boundaries.
Precisely. It's about reclaiming your time,
Yes.
your attention, and using those resources in ways that align with, your values and goals.
I like that. So we've covered tech, internet use. What's next on the Spartan Starter Pack?
This one might be a bit harder to swallow for some. The source is quite passionate about ditching cars.
Ah, yes. The infamous line, Spartans wouldn't be caught dead in traffic. I'll admit I chuckled when I read that. But in all seriousness, is their disdain for cars completely unwarranted?
Well, they're not wrong about the downsides.
Oh, yeah.
Rising car costs, environmental impact, the stress of traffic. I mean, these are all real issues.
Yeah.
And in some cases, alternative modes of transportation like cycling or public transit can be fantastic options.
Better for your wallet, your health, and the planet. Yeah, I can see the appeal.
Right. And this is the feasibility of those alternatives depends heavily on your individual circumstances.
Right.
Your location, your job, your family situation.
Context matters. Not everyone can just hop on a bike and call it a day. I, for one, live on top of a rather daunting hill.
Exactly. So while the source's call for ditching cars might resonate in some situations, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Totally. And I think that nuance is important to highlight. I admire the idealism, but, let's be realistic. Okay, so we've covered tech, internet, transportation. That brings us to the final element of the Spartan Starter Pack tools.
And this one isn't just about physical tools, though the source does talk about the kind of absurdity of owning a garage full of fancy power tools when a simple, well-maintained set would suffice.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What else could they possibly be referring to as tools?
It's a metaphor for something much broader. The essential elements we need for a fulfilling and meaningful life.
I like that. So instead of just decluttering our physical spaces, we're also thinking about what we can clear out, mentally and emotionally to make room for what truly matters.
Precisely. It's about identifying our values, our strengths, our passions, and then aligning our actions and our choices with those things.
Okay.
What skills do we need to develop? What relationships energize us and help us grow? What information sources do we trust to stay informed without getting overwhelmed?
It's about being more discerning with our time, our energy, our resources, and figuring out which tools are actually serving us and which ones might be holding us back.
You got it. It's about defining success on your own terms, not based on some, arbitrary set of rules or expectations. Yeah. And I think that's a message that's deeply relevant today. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with messages about what we should be doing, what we should be buying, who we should be becoming.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in that noise and lose sight of what truly matters to us as individuals.
Which is why I think this idea of Spartan living, stripped down to its core, is so compelling.
Yeah.
It's about reclaiming your agency, making conscious choices, and building a life that reflects your values, even if it looks different from the norm.
I love that. So it's not about deprivation, it's about liberation.
Exactly. It's about freeing yourself from the things that weigh you down, whether that's physical clutter, digital distractions, financial burdens, or even just, limiting beliefs, and making space for the things that bring you joy, purpose, a sense of true fulfillment.
This is really resonating with me. It's like we're taking this extreme source material and finding those universal truths.
Right.
That we can all connect with on a deeper level.
Exactly. And I think that's the power of deep dives like this. We get to explore different perspectives, challenge our assumptions, and maybe even uncover some, unexpected insights along the way.
I couldn't agree more. But this source isn't just focused on decluttering our physical lives.
Right.
And optimizing our digital habits. Right. They also have a lot to say about financial matters. And let's just say, they don't exactly paint a rosy picture of the future.
No, they don't. They seem particularly fixated on this idea of financial warfare.
Yeah.
This belief that, the system is rigged against us.
Right.
And that some sort of economic collapse is, inevitable.
And their solution, hoarding gold, investing in crypto, basically preparing for the apocalypse. A bit dramatic, don't you think?
Dramatic? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I can see why, people might be drawn to that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
Given, how things are right now.
Yeah.
I think their message resonates because a lot of people, they are feeling anxious about their finances.
Absolutely. I mean, it's economic inequality, inflation, volatile markets. Those are all legitimate concerns.
They are. And it's easy to kind of feel powerless when you're thinking about such complex systems,
Yeah.
But while, their doomsday predictions might be a bit extreme, I think they do raise an important point.
Right.
Knowledge is power.
Okay, I'm picking up on a but coming.
You know me too well. It's not enough to just stockpile gold and hunker down.
Yeah.
Well, I get it. I mean, some people, that does make them feel better. But I think a truly Spartan approach to finances, if we're really going to go there, it involves understanding the system.
Okay.
Not just fearing it.
So what is the alternative then to, prepping for the apocalypse? Are we all supposed to just bury our heads in the sand and pretend everything is fine?
Definitely not. It's about, like I was saying before, finding that balance.
Okay.
Between awareness and action.
Okay.
educate yourself about, personal finance, explore different investment strategies, talk to like a financial advisor, somebody you trust.
Right.
There's no one right way to do it, What matters is feeling empowered to make informed decisions.
Right. So you're not just reacting out of fear.
Exactly. Being proactive, not reactive, like you said.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, something we were talking about earlier about defining success on your own terms.
Oh, yeah.
It all kind of ties together.
It does.
It's about taking control of your financial future, not just letting things happen to you, but deciding, okay, this is what I want to do.
Right. Taking that agency back.
Exactly. And honestly, that applies to so many aspects of life. It's not just about your money.
Which, that brings us back to the heart of this whole Spartan philosophy. It's about agency, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. Even if, you listen to this source and you don't agree with everything they say, you can't deny they tap into this very, very human thing.
Yeah.
We all want agency. We want to feel in control, especially, when the world feels so chaotic.
It's easy to feel like kind of overwhelmed sometimes.
Yeah.
Like we were just along for the ride.
Exactly. And while I'm not sure that holing up in a bunker with a lifetime supply of gold is the answer,
Right.
I do think this source, they challenge us to think about the areas where we do have agency.
Right.
It's not about, becoming a survivalist. It's about taking a look at your life and asking yourself, okay, what are the things I can actually control here?
Yeah, like where are you being influenced
Right.
by, external forces,
Yeah.
whether that's like advertising or societal pressures or honestly, even just your own habits, things that maybe aren't really serving you.
Yeah, and that you haven't really examined.
Right, exactly.
It's about taking ownership, making those conscious choices, creating a life that really reflects what you care about.
Yes, not just going through the motions.
Exactly. And that might look like a lot of different things for different people. Maybe it is simplifying your tech or being more mindful about how you're using the internet or exploring different ways to get around. Maybe it's rethinking your relationship with, material possessions.
Right.
It's really about, okay, what works for me? What do I actually need? Not what some, advertisement or influencer is telling me is the right way to live.
I love that. So it's like, it is about kind of defining your own version of a quote unquote Spartan life, right? Stripping away the excess, focusing on what truly matters, and maybe even finding, like you said earlier, a bit of liberation in the process.
Exactly. It's about asking yourself, what would it actually look like to live with more intention,
Yeah.
with more purpose,
Yeah.
more freedom,
Yes.
and then having the courage to actually go and create that life.
Yeah.
And you do it, just one step at a time.
One choice at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Such a powerful, powerful message. So to our listener out there, we'll leave you with this. What if you could design your life like a Spartan? Stripped down to the essentials, focused on what truly matters, free from all those things that are weighing you down. What would that look like? It's a question I think worth pondering,
Definitely.
even if you never plan on, giving up your smartphone.
It is.
Yeah.
And who knows, you might just discover a strength, a resilience that you never knew you had.
I love it. Thanks for diving into this with me.
It's always a pleasure.
And even if they don't share all my views and missed understanding 1 or 2 points of the video made specially for our premium community members, I have to say the podcaster did an admirable job. Now, knowing that more independent from the system you are and less money you need to spend, you've got 2 choices. Either stay without full control over your life, or join the Spartan tribe and take the reins of your future. You might think you've learned a bit from this video, but believe me, there's so much more beneath the surface. Our exclusive membership includes videos packed with explosive, actionable solutions that will definitely make a difference for you and your community. While the rest of the world is struggling with chaos, you'll be the one thriving. But if you're not quite ready, take a look at my other videos and playlists. And before you do that, I'm really eager to hear what you liked the most about this video. Do you have any questions? Here's one from me. What do you want more of? Money, time, or both? And would you rather have it later or sooner? Most people looking for these advantages end up liking, subscribing, and crucially, joining us to become executive members. If you decide not to join, you might just find your bank account slowly dwindling. So, what's your next move? Hit that subscribe button, become an executive member, and tap into knowledge that sets you apart from the crowd. The real question is, do you merely want to survive or do you aim to dominate? Remember, The weak will fall, but the prepared will thrive. Click to join now.